introduction to single pass circuits. It's part of our thing today. We know the bathrooms are just this side. Our emergency evacuation point would be straight down this walkway, turn right at the car park. That's about all we need. So, done that. First aid person will be in the workshop. Great. What is one thing you could not do without electricity today?
Light, beautifully dark, at night time especially.
Yeah.
Heating, something.
Yes. It's nice and warm. It's light. Yeah, the projector. You wouldn't be able to do that.
Charging your phone.
Yes.
It's nice.
It's a big one. All right. So we agree that for all the comforts that we like, it's something that we all use and utilise every day. What we're going to talk about today in our 3 sessions is we're going to do one on power generation, so how it's produced. The second session will be on how we move that power from where it's produced to where we want it, and our third one will actually use some of that power in the classroom. Cool. So where do we think our electricity comes from? What are some ways we produce it in around the world, but specifically Western Australia?
Produce it. Solar.
Solar is definitely an upcoming one. Yep,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. What's the main way?
Power station.
Power stations. What fuels these power stations?
Coal or gas.
Yeah,
Or diesel.
they're our main ones. These would definitely do some smaller areas. Great. So we know the main ones we use. There's also geothermal, which we don't really access here. Hydro. Obviously, again, West Australia being flat as, we don't really use it that much. Tidal as well. Wind. Nuclear, not Australia, but yeah, great stopgap would be good. Most of the ones we just mentioned do produce their power in almost exactly the same way. We burn something, spins a turbine, turns a generator, we get our electricity. For the ones that involve movement, it's the same turbine. It's the same process, right? Solar being the one exception. So I've just got a little one on fossil fuels, because we're going to look at a bit of the fossil fuels versus renewables today. And then a little bit on solar, because that was the most different one that I could see. So let me just get our fossil fuel ones going. Do we all know what the difference between renewables and fossil fuels would be in regards to power generation, or what's anything different about them? Is one finite and one more unlimited, or yeah?
One's free.
Essentially, once you have it set up, yep. That's our renewables. Yep. Waste. Yeah, pollution. Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd have our renewables set up and everything would be there. We wouldn't be polluting, but the reality is we're a little bit away from that at the moment. But that's okay. 4 minutes.
Coal, natural gas, and petroleum are fossil fuels commonly used to produce electricity. In this process, the fuels are burned to transform the chemical energy in the fuel into heat energy. The heat energy is used to heat water and convert it to steam. The steam generated spin turbines, which then turn a generator. As the generator turns, it converts the kinetic energy into electrical energy. The electricity produced by the power station is sent along power lines that connect homes, buildings, and cities through an electrical grid. When fossil fuels are burned, harmful gases are released into the Earth's atmosphere. This can cause air pollution, along with other impacts on the environment.
So that's just one of our the ways that we generate electricity, and we see that it doesn't really matter what the fossil fuel is, the process is very, very similar. We burn the fuel, boils the water, goes through the process. That's basically how that happens. Cool. So, separate to that, we were just going to, you took your whiteboard,
There should be some under behind the keyboard.
cool. So what were some of the ones we just went through and the ones that were in the video?
Wind.
Wind,
Coal.
Hydro.
making me go back and forth on purpose.
Gas.
Solar.
Tidal. Cause you stepped across.
Oh, tidal. I was saying title.
Tidals. They sit in the
Waves.
waves, and there's a turbine again underwater that the
Yeah.
pipe going through it turns the turbine, same as everything else, which is attached to a generator.
Petroleum. That's it.
Cool. Any others that we can think of? There's geothermal as well, which I think would be awesome to utilise, but can't really here. It's too expensive. Mold. Oil testing.
There's one in the corner of South Australia, New South Wales and Victoria.
Is there?
Yeah.
Cool. It's a bit mountainy down there, isn't it?
No,
It's just-
there's one there.
Yeah, okay. And there's the snowy hydro as well. We do use it in Australia, just not specifically West Australia for the hydro. Again, same way. Water comes through, turns the turbine. It's the same process.
I've seen some that they've started to create it with magnetics.
Yeah, okay.
Is that one? No, not yet.
Not one that I know. Well, all of the when the generator is brought into it is all magnets are involved in that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
There's another wind one, is over east, they're using some of the big highways and the tunnels.
Yeah,
The
okay.
wind that's generated just from,
From moving
Yeah.
through the tunnel.
yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, lots of different ways we can do it. Specifically in Western Australia, I would say solar's definitely up there. Has anyone done any work on a solar farm? No, not
I know
that.
there's some wind farms up
Yeah,
north.
I would
And,
say
Iceland.
a majority of what we use is probably coal.
All of Esperance is run on solar, or wind, so.
Yes.
And gas would probably be our biggest one in Western Australia. I think it might be tidal, but that's mainly what we use in Western Australia. So what are some considerations as to why we would use either one? Can anyone think of any?
We've got a lot of sun,
We do have a lot of sun.
wind down south.
Yep. So yeah, we're across across the idea though that these are renewable and they don't actually, like we're not taking a finite resource, whereas these ones, it's a finite resource, we're using it up, we're depleting what's there,
They're cheaper though.
but they are cheaper. So cost would definitely be one of the factors. Pollution is obviously another factor, which, you know, you've got to sort of strike a bit of a medium between them. Spend 30 minutes
There's
writing
spray.
stuff on the board and
There's
running
spray.
out.
Use the spray.
Cool. So we can distinguish between renewable and non-renewable. So we also know that in all of these processes, we're not actually creating energy. We're just converting it from one form to another. So most of these, we're going from burning something and having a mechanical effect of turning a turbine and a generator, and we're getting electrical energy out of it. We're not creating this energy from nothing, we're merely converting it. It's something we try and get across to the students, which can't really, hard for them to picture. But yeah, if we are losing anything, it's only through some small inefficiencies, and again, we're not losing it, it's just being converted into something that maybe we don't want. Like heat would be our big one. Generally, once we get onto the transferring, obviously for the power generation you would want it. Little fact that I found, electricity generation makes up 1/3 of the total global greenhouse gas emissions, which I did not know that it was anywhere near that, but it makes a lot of sense. We all come to rely on it for all those things that we want in life. Yeah. So let's quickly watch the other side of that, the renewable energies basics. This really does take time, doesn't it? Wow.
Everything's slow.
Renewable energy. Renewable energy is a term used to describe a group of energy technologies derived from sources that do not deplete or that can be replenished within a human's lifetime. The most common renewable energy sources are solar, which harnesses the sun for energy; wind, which utilizes the motion of wind to create electricity; hydropower, which uses moving water to generate power; biomass, which refers to a large group of technologies that use living or recently living organisms and waste to create energy; tidal. Tidal uses the rise and fall of the tides to create electricity; geothermal, which uses the internal heat from the earth for energy. Nuclear energy is not considered a renewable energy source. It is considered an alternative energy source. While renewable energy accounts for a minority share of the world's energy supply, it is also the fastest growing energy supply on the planet. Renewable energy is sought after because it is a clean source of energy, meaning that it does not directly produce greenhouse gas emissions or air pollutants. While renewable energy sources are better for the environment, they also face several challenges, the main ones being low efficiencies, high capital costs, and intermittency. That's renewable energy.
So when they just meant to mention intermittency, what are some of the things we think of when we mention these sorts of things?
Solar panels on a cloudy day
Yep. Or night.
or night time.
Half of all time for Australia. It's not producing anything, right? But it's probably producing an excess in the middle of the day when no one's there. So that's, we could start looking into whether it's viable for large battery systems to go in to equalise it out a little bit, so we can actually be there to utilise some of the power that we're getting from our solar. Not something we're going into a lot today, but that's definitely something to consider. Before we talk about the advantages and disadvantages, why do we think we still widely use non-renewable sources to generate power? We obviously all know that it would be lovely to use the renewables and it would pollute less, it's going to keep down global warming if you believe in that kind of thing. People want to be around nice, cleaner energy, they don't want a big smoggy city, do they? So what are some reasons we're still using non-renewables?
Well, you got the infrastructure built,
Yeah.
set up,
It's there. We're maintaining it mainly at this point.
maintaining the employment of everybody that's in it.
Yes. They could transition, reskill, and move on to the renewable side. But yes, there's tons of people around the world that rely on it as a way to make money and stay employed and employ people. So that's a huge one. Obviously,
Way cheaper.
yeah, definitely is. So yeah, it's certainly getting phased out though, I would say. Coal in Australia, I think coal is on its way out, which is probably our biggest, closest coal plant. Why else are we still using
More
non-renewable?
efficient.
Definitely, yep.
It's 24 hours.
Happens all the time. You can ramp it up and move it down to meet the demand, which is instantaneous. If you didn't know, it's not like you need to produce it ahead of time. It's literally 10 people decide to turn a switch on. It's got to get there instantly. If it's the middle of the night, your whole grid's on solar. It's not going to happen. Cool. So some advantages of using non-renewables is high output as well. Like you're going to get a lot more out of it, and like you say, it already exists. It's there. And then some negative points about it would be climate impact, which we are starting to see. I would say with more extreme things happening around the world to do with climate. Through the mainly CO2 being produced. It's a finite resource, it's not going to last forever. Yes, the reserves are there, but how long are they going to be there? And pollution is just a huge one there. Advantages and disadvantages of our renewables. Sustainable, you can do it for a long time. There's little to no emissions. There's not none, but there's little to none. And it's abundant. It's everywhere. You say that it's a very sunny. We've got the sun. We need to utilise what's there. And our negatives would be intermittency, cost, and the infrastructure. It doesn't exist a lot of the time, so we've got to put a lot of work into it, and that's happening all over the world. But a lot in WA. There's solar farms, there's wind farms, there's all sorts of stuff, and you can barely go on a country drive. Maybe not so much in WA, but in some of the other states where everything's a bit closer, without going past a huge solar farm or etc. So it's just saying that the process is very similar for all of these. It's just our wind doesn't have we're not burning anything for the wind, but the wind still turns that turbine and the generator and everything else. Hydro is exactly the same. The water and tidal's the same. Cool. The only one that's a little bit different in our common ones would probably be solar. And the way that solar works is electrical energy is generated from sunlight using solar panels that convert the light into electricity through the photovoltaic effect. So the light basically strikes the surface of the solar cells, which are made from silicon, and they absorb the light energy, and that excites the electrons to move through the solar panel and create our electricity. That's pretty much what happens there. AC and DC. Some of these happen in different ways. AC stands for
Alternating.
alternating current, yeah.
I was gonna say air compressor.
I heard it shouldn't say it, come on.
Alternating current.
And DC direct. I'll leave this in a second. It's quick to turn on. So for most of our other forms, they're going to be in AC. Solar specifically is going to be in DC. So if we're to use some of this power, it gets created in DC, it'll go through an inverter and get turned into AC. The funny thing being, most of the devices we use in our home are actually DC. So it gets converted, and there's probably losses in every stage of it, but you know, that's sort of what happens. So I do have a little quiz. I just want to make sure that I've sort of covered what's going to be in it, because it would be a bit silly to hand it out without that. Where do we typically put our power plants? Does anyone take notice of them, or are they everywhere? Are they in
As
specific
close as
places?
possible to the fuel source.
Yeah, makes sense.
Away
Is that
from-
necessarily
away from
where
the
we are, where it's going to be used?
outside.
No, it's a long way from where we are,
Yes,
but it's close to the fuel source.
correct. So on the
Because
coast, if
it's
they're
easier,
shipping it
it's easier
in.
to transmit electricity than it is to transmit fuel.
Yep.
Transport fuel.
So we don't typically put our power stations, the bigger ones, right where we need it, right? Some of the things that are negative with that would probably be noise. You don't want that pollution to be all over the people that are trying to use this power. Any other reasons that we can think of?
Aesthetics, they're not particularly good looking.
No, that's right. Same with some of the renewables. Not everyone wants a giant wind farm on the edge of their property, ruining their nice view out. But it's a bit of a reality of it. What are some of the challenges involved in moving electricity long distances that we can think of?
You lose power there.
Yeah, transporting the power back to the.
Yeah, it's a bit of resistance in the cables. Can be affected by weather. It can be affected by things damaging the lines. So there's definitely things you need to.
It's dangerous.
Can be.
Humans.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely can be. We know that one. I'm just gonna hand these out, and then we can have a bit of a talk about them. It's just a little, you don't have to put your name and date on it. It's just how it was presented. So we'll go through these together after we've had a bit of a crack.
Thank you.
Sorry, my desk is messy. Just take your time, and we'll talk about them, and then hopefully. Interesting out there. Cool. So if you're not done at this point, we'll just follow along with our little discussion and we can fill them in as we go along. Why are power plants often located far from residential areas? John, we'll just work through the list and we can talk about it if you don't have one at the time.
It'd be to minimise health and safety risks.
Yeah. No one wants a coal power station right on the end of their street. They want the effect of it, but they don't want it right where they are. So that's definitely one of them. So which of the following is a major challenge in transmitting electricity over long distances, Tracy?
Is there more than one?
I would say one of them is,
More correct than the other.
yeah, look.
You've got energy loss
Yep.
and lightning.
Yeah. Mainly they're concerned about the energy loss due to resistance.
Yep.
Definitely the other ones could affect it, but that's the main one there. So we talk a bit more about transmitting electricity in our next session. What's an environmental concern associated with fossil fuel plants?
C, they emit greenhouse gases.
Obviously not too ideal. What about number 4, Isaac? Why is energy storage important in renewable power systems?
I put D. To
Yeah.
reduce the need for power plants.
Eventually, that would be what we're after.
Mhm.
Eventually, at the moment, I think it's sort of more that stopgap to balance the supply when the generation is low.
Right,
So
C.
yeah, we produce a lot of solar specifically during the day, but lots of people aren't home during the day to use it. So if we have that battery energy storage,
Yeah.
we can then keep the grid a bit more balanced. I'll do this one. Which energy source is considered the most suitable for long-term use? I would say solar would be what we're working towards. In this, John, did you get a chance to do number 6?
B, convert steam into mechanical energy.
Yep, so that's pretty much one that it does. Tracy?
Burns fuel to create heat.
Converts mechanical energy into
Yes.
electrical energy. That's okay. Happens. I was like, yep. Then I read it. Which of the following is a benefit of hydroelectric power, Jim? If you've
It uses flowing water to generate electricity.
Yep, if it's already flowing, then it's not really imposing too much on anything. Not much waste. And Isaac, did you manage number?
9?
No.
Yes, I've got B.
Yep.
It only works through the NILs.
That's exactly it. Why might governments invest in renewable energy sources? I would say to reduce carbon emissions and promote sustainability would be the one that makes the most sense there. Now I'm not sure how long my session was because I forgot to press go, but let's just quickly talk about.
It'll be on the
You can
camera.
have a look on the.
I just did the little closing and I think we'll be good. So hopefully we know the basics of the non-renewable fuel is turned into electrical energy, and renewable energy is used to generate electricity, and how to distinguish between both of them. In our next lesson we're going to talk about the transmission and distribution systems. So we want our power plants far away from us, but we want the electricity where we are. So there's a great big system in place to move that energy from one place to another. You guys probably see them a lot of the time. But yeah,